MJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Justin. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive into your journey and your story. And, I think you're doing incredible things. You and I randomly got connected. We hopped on a call and when you told me what you do, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so fascinating to me and so needed in the
Yeah.
entrepreneurial space. But where I want to start is who is MJ today? And then we'll break down how you got there.
Ooh, man, gotta start with a bag of worms, right? That's a good question. I would define myself today as trying to show up as a vessel that I feel called to be in this space, and really living it, right? I always joke that I'm kind of the guinea pig for all the clients, and whatever, God or the universe throws at me is kind of like just so I really know from like the ground level, like what people are experiencing. So, yeah, just an expansion right now.
No, I love it. And obviously, you help entrepreneurs with burnout. You help them manage the day-to-day stresses of building a big business. And specifically when they get to a point where they've built the thing and they're like, I don't know what else to do next. What made you dive
Yeah.
into studying this type of thing?
I appreciate that. Well, yeah, so we do performance strategy, strategic advisory for established entrepreneurs and exited founders. And usually these are folks who are in the space that feel like they're stuck. Like if I 2x what I'm doing today, it will break me, but I know I meant for more. And it's a
Mm.
tough place to be because they're already doing really good. On paper, people consider them a success, but they know they're not showing up 100% at their full capacity. And so we take things like biooptimization and data and convert those into systems that are usable to almost automatically, dare I say, it's not really a great word to use, but like feels automatic, like an upgrade to a person's time and energy and capacity. So how I got here was completely by accident. I'm an entrepreneur myself, was the breadwinner for my family my entire adult life. And I found myself in a place where my husband was like, "Hey, I'm ready to get a divorce."
Mm.
And so I was like, I don't know if I can do more than what I'm doing. And for context, like we're living on a beach in Hawaii. We're living our best life and it looked beautiful in the social media world. But on the back end, he was like, "You're not here. And when you're here, you're really not here." And so um, I had to figure out what was breaking down in my system because I realized like I had mindseted as and tried to discipline as much as I could. And what I found was very interesting. First, my system was completely corrupt,
Mm.
meaning my body was not making much cortisol at all. So it'd start kind of at like a nice healthy average, and before 10 a.m., it would just flatline, go down to almost zero, and just flatline the rest of the day. At this time, I was doing 3 to 5 hours of fitness content per day, two to
Wow.
three days per week. So, doctors would tell me, "Why are you not bedridden?" And I said, "I just thought I was lazy." So I would just pummel through it. I was telling myself, "Get up, work out. This is good for you. Work harder, right? I'll get through it." And then the other thing that I found was I was totally oblivious to this fact. Like, why wasn't this, like, why wasn't this as obvious? And what I found is that we're complex human beings. There's no one quick fix, there's no one overnight pill, one switch to flip, and it's unique to each and every one of us. So I didn't only have the nervous system problem that was in play, I had autism, which I don't know about you, but when we were growing up, none of that was labeled unless it was extremely severe.
Yeah.
But just having a different wiring in the brain changes how much friction, us forcing our way into things instead of, actually leveraging how our brain works, creates a lot of extra problems. And it's very taxing, mentally and energetically. So long story short, I realized it's a holistic system. It's not one pill, it's not one doctor. I had to test. I spent tens of thousands of dollars of testing, hours of pounds, hours of researching, interviewing doctors, looking for answers, realizing I had to be my own advocate.
Mm.
And the good news is we didn't get divorced. Everyone always asks, and I forget to say. But from yeah, everyone's like, "So what happened?" But
He's
from
still
there,
around.
he's still around. I mean, we're thriving. I mean, it's like, the whole fairy tale ending, business multiplied. My energy multiplied. We, healed all of that holistically, figured out systems to support the speed. And I guess just to not, over explain the story, think of it as like you're a race car. And if you're trying to travel at a super high speed, everything becomes a precision game at that point. So if you're not precise about your brain, you're not precise about your body, you become the bottleneck because your time is limited. We can't make more of it, but what we can do is we can promise you'll get more out of your time. And so that's really, our strategic gameplay is how do we get more out of your time by creating a supportive system, not asking you to mindset, discipline more, not asking you to do one more thing, manage one more strategy. Like we're really going into the science of what supports your brain and body uniquely to you.
So how does that, you're mentioning time, right? So obviously we only have so much time in a day. Everybody has the same amount of time. How does that multiply your business if you're able to get all those things in line? Because like you said, you still push through. You still got up every day. You film the content. You help the clients. You did all the stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
because I see this, it's an epidemic in high achievers, right? They just
Yeah.
keep pushing, keep pushing, and keep pushing. And on the inside, they're miserable. And like you said, on the outside, it's Instagram perfect.
Yeah.
So like, how does that optimize the actual business itself?
Yeah. So great question. One of the easiest ways to see this is like science tells us that contextual switching takes a person on average 23 and a half minutes to regain that focus. Time is money, right?
Yeah.
So, like, let me ask you something. Do you think you could make more money if you got back 5 to 10 hours a week,
Oh,
every
without a
single
doubt.
week?
Yeah.
Without a doubt, right? So, anything you spend 5 minutes on every single day costs you over 30 hours of your time. That includes sleep. So, let's talk about roughly speaking 2 days worth of your working days, right? Per year. So, all these little friction points, it's not just about like we're not looking at a ship with one hole that we need to plug up. There are all these little holes that are sinking the ship very quickly. So if we can start taking an assessment of those holes and say, okay, what are the easiest to plug? Let's just plug those up right now. The ship stops sinking. You gain back more clarity, energy, focus. You regain faster cognition, creativity, problem solving. I'm going to jump another level here and say that what we focus on is nervous system reset and recovery and teaching you how to access states outside of fight or flight within your control. So you can say, okay, I'm going to this board meeting. I need to be on. So I'm going to bring that sympathetic nervous system forward. We're in hyper focus, like problem solving mode. We're supposed to be there for short periods of time, brief bursts. But what's optimal for us is to come back down into rest and digest, parasympathetic, right, recovery. But what makes us good entrepreneurs is that we are good at making decisions, executing, staying creative in the face of stress. So fight or flight becomes our default all the time.
Yeah.
This creates a compounding deficit over a long period of time that we don't see until it's too late. So backtrack. When you're in this constant state of fight or flight, what does the RAS do? The thing that scans, right? It's constantly scanning. What's it scanning for? Threats. It narrows the focus and it says, we want to optimize for safety and comfort. You can think all day long that you're making logical decisions, but I promise you, your vision gets really narrow and your brain will automatically filter out things that could be great opportunities, that could be solutions, like those aha moments in the shower, because you're optimizing for the next most comfortable thing. And that's why a lot of us are like, no, 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 no. I just need another strategy. Just give me funnel. Give me something that feels nice today. It feels comfortable. It feels safe. We'll take that next move. Let's see how it goes. There's no plan. But the minute that you teach yourself to move out of that state of stress, your brain can finally relax and say, okay, what are the actual possibilities? Let's open up a little more creatively and say, is this worth the risk? And can we calculate that risk more accurately? Then you start getting all these aha moments. You also show up differently, right? Like the way we signal, we can't hide that. Some people are really good at masking it, but some of us are like, okay, wait, something's a little off. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
Those signals can't be faked. So, I mean, we take this all the way down to sales. Like, what is sales really? It's getting somebody to get all this stress out, get out of their own way, and really see the safety of this opportunity. Here's what it's like to work with me. So we're co-regulating at this point. If I'm a salesperson and I'm stressed and like, just make the sale, right? Like, we're not going to close the sale. But if I'm calm and I'm really like, hey, like, let's lay it out. Let me see your pain. Let's see what the problem is. And then let me just, maybe once you're past that, amygdala, I'm in threat, like I have this severe problem. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Now we're working to neocortex, middle thinking brain. We're clearing objections. The brain's finally in prefrontal cortex where they're able to say, okay, wait, I think it's safe. I think I can open up to a new idea that would have otherwise been a potential threat.
Fascinating.
So we do this on so many levels, from sales to teams. It just overall makes you a better human being, because instead of being reactive, you understand what state the person's in, whether it's yourself or the person that you're working with. More power, more influence, quicker transitions, right? Quicker decision making. So we just remove all of that emotional friction.
And so obviously you start with the biomarkers that you look at. What biomarkers are the most important? I know you probably look at a ton of them, but which ones are the most important have you seen?
I don't love that question because because
That's the
um,
first time in 10 years somebody said that to me. So
it's okay. It's a great question because we can pivot on this, right? I think that your general practitioners and your doctors that take the annual labs, they grab the most important biomarkers that we know of today. But so you're already doing it. If you're going to your doctor every year, getting your blood work done, you're already pulling the most important biomarkers, meaning the ones that are more likely to be a high risk. And when we do see those risks, we want to take action fast. The problem with this approach is we're waiting until the building is already on fire and we don't see the whole city. We're just looking at the top, the skyscrapers, right? So they're important, but what's the infrastructure behind it, and what's the stack say? When when you have a biomarker say, "Hey, this is red line," it doesn't tell the whole picture, and it's unfortunate. But our doctors have to be specialists. That's what makes them really good. But they can't act as the operator or the switchboard for your entire holistic system. So
right.
you have to be your own advocate. And it's really the stack of symptoms that give us the whole picture. So the beautiful thing about your question, Justin, is instead of picking one or two or five biomarkers, there are all these services. Like we partner with Function Health, over 160 plus biomarkers for just $365. I am not getting any money from them.
Yeah.
They're just that good. But any one of these that can give you a more holistic picture of what's going on, it's going to be the easiest, one move lever to pull. It's like one blood drop for some of us, two, but you can get it done in a week, 15 minutes in and out, and you get a really clear picture. Now, the other things we test for is, optional, but we love it, is we want to see how that lines up with the genetics. You and I have talked about high LPA. We won't go off that path right now, but there are things genetically that we don't see in these blood tests. So it gives us kind of not a magic mirror into the future, but like a warning sign. Like, hey, if there's going to be a stone to watch out that you particularly, that's unique to you, that you stumble on, it might be this, this, and this. But the other thing that we love testing in entrepreneurs is neurodiversity. We still have yet to get an entrepreneur into our program that is not neurodiverse. We're just wired a little bit differently. But that's a game changer, because a lot of what's put out there is for neurotypical brains. We have totally different patterns. And if somebody, let's say, has an ADHD brain, what motivates that person and keeps them energized, so it removes the friction cognitively, is totally different than how we approach an OCD brain. So that's why it matters. And that little stack in and of itself, that little process, takes somebody probably about a month to do after working with us, all of it. It's already game changing. We see 30+% of just like relief, focus, clarity. We get people who come to us like, I want to burn the business down. And after that month, they're like, never mind. We just opened up 3 brick and mortars because our capacity increased, and so just kind of magic, but it's just science.
Yeah, when we spoke before, I was like, "What percentage of people have ADD or ADHD?" And you're like all of them,
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you need? It's always that question that I ask people all the time. Like, do you think that being an entrepreneur is something innate in you, or is it something that you can learn? Right? Because I've been an entrepreneur full time for 8 years now, and all I do is meet entrepreneurs and work with them and all that stuff. And they're all a specific type of individual.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that there are some that have pushed through and have figured it out on their own, but like what are you seeing are commonalities across these high performers once they get that neurodivergent test? Because I've never been tested for it. I assume I have it. Like, and you'll probably notice in conversations sometimes, even how I take conversations, we'll take a right turn here just to make
Yeah.
three lefts, right? And so,
Yeah.
it's fascinating. But so like, what are the commonalities that you're seeing, and how can people be aware of that?
Yeah. So we mostly see ADHD, OCD, autism. A lot of people come from families where there's either trauma or high expectations, right? So it's kind of called like a higher level or higher risk for anxiety, anxiety driven. Um, those are the common, and then they stack, right? So like ADHD stacks with dyslexia very, very frequently. We I see a few autistic ADHD. So I'm autistic ADHD. But the combos are kind of different because then you're working with like different hyper functionings of the brain, and they're not on the same spectrum. They have their own, right? So it's just kind of how the brain is like working differently. And my philosophy is probably most of us is on the spectrum. It's just this is the first time ever that we're able to like really diagnose that acutely. Um, but in terms of what was that second question? You said commonalities and
How can somebody like get ahead of it, and things they
right.
need to be aware of?
Just get tested. We're using currently NovoPsych. They're an Australia-based medical grade self-assessment. It's not like, officially like a clinical assessment until you get a clinician to do it for you. The clinician assessments are way deeper. They take days. They're very intensive. These are more like 3 to 5 minutes, like which way do you lean? And then I love it because if you were to get like the whole spectrum with a clinician, it's quite expensive still. Or if you were to get a brain scan, which is like way more accurate. But it's for most of our clients, they don't want the clinical assessment. A lot of our clients, which I'm not allowed to really say this, but a lot of them find themselves actually not needing the medications that they originally were prescribed because they manage it so well with the system, right?
Mm,
So it's just nice to know, okay, I have this tendency. How do we manage that tendency? It's
yeah.
it's kind of like, if you have I don't, if your left leg is a little bit longer than the right, which is actually pretty common, it's
My
like
right
you
leg's
might.
longer than my left.
Yeah, okay. So you would have a tendency to be sore on one side.
Hmm.
And instead of us saying, okay, we'll like do sciatica release or like massage that, we're like, no, we know that more than likely your one side is longer than the other. And what would serve you better is having some foot pad that increases the height of, your shoe bottom so that you're walking more evenly. But if you spend all day just trying to massage your sciatica out, it's not going to solve the problem.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's
No,
the goal of the assessment.
no, I love it, and I think awareness is super key. Like, if you don't know why you are the way that you are, you're constantly fighting against it,
Yeah.
right? I remember, years ago, I was going to a therapist because I was like, "There's something wrong with me. I don't know why I am the way that I am." It was more relationship based, and he came to the realization with me that I have abandonment issues. The
Mm.
second he put that title on what I have, everything became easier. Like, I didn't trigger as much. I didn't do all these things. Like, I knew what I was aware of. And so therefore I could manage my reactions, and I could be more proactive in those moments. And so this is obviously how you're helping these individuals. Now you look at all these biomarkers. How do you begin to get them back to normal, for lack of a
Yeah,
better term?
normal, optimal. Yeah, some of the easiest ones is just like supplementation. A lot of people don't realize that when your body is telling you something's wrong, it's a lot of the same cues: brain fog, tired, lack of motivation, etc. Maybe flare-ups and some symptoms, like if you have allergies and stuff. And sometimes you don't even see it. Like a lot of it could just be like dark circles under the eyes. But supplementation for like, so if you're low DHEA, vitamin D, B, whatever, omegas, like those are really easy, you can supplement, right? But some people have bigger issues, like, we've got thyroid issues, or somebody had some colon something go on. We just act like a switchboard and send them to the right doctor or specialist. We tell them, hey, like, we're looking at these labs and these are things you need to get looked at like this month. This is pressing, or this is not so pressing, but within the next 3 to 6 months, like, our goal is to have you visit this type of doctor and get some extra testing done, or, a little bit more of a sneak peek into what's going on and what you need to do to be preventative. So it's nice because we're not waiting for the buildings to be on fire. We're looking for the gas leaks, and then we're bringing the right technicians in, or in this case, the right doctors, medical professionals in, to really make sure you stay on top of that and we don't have any surprises moving forward. Like I said, plug in the holes. So the more holes we plug, the more our capacity increases. So it removes the friction. It's like, think about how much a body is taken care of on a regular basis. And now you're trying to run like a race car. So what ends up happening in entrepreneurs' bodies is the system will start to, we see a lot of ANA reactivity. So like autoimmune kind of like flare-ups. But it doesn't mean you have an autoimmune disease. It just means that your body is handling so much stress that sometimes it just shelves a few things. And it's like, okay, we'll take care of that later. But then it doesn't get taken care of. And then we get, founders in their 40s who are ready to exit their companies with, terminal cancer, heart issues, like stacked issues that are irreversible. Some at the worst case, liver failure. We've been smoking and drinking, or exited founders who sell their company for tens of millions of dollars and then decide they want to take their own life. And a lot of people look at them and say, man, that guy didn't have his priorities straight. Like, how do you have $50 million and want to leave the world? And it's like, well, no, let's look at this from like a systems, like a fundamental level. You've got years and years of stored activation. Your brain and body are used to going at this level of stress. It's anticipating that. So it's releasing all this norepinephrine and all these other chemicals, just trying to anticipate all that output that you've had for years. Now you top that off with a big dopamine hit, like the biggest one of your life. The cash hit your bank, you bought your sexy car, you went on an island and played golf for 6 months. And now that's stacked with, who am I? What's my purpose? Where's my significance? Where's my community? I mean, you might as well shoot the person up with drugs and then watch them, try to recoil from that kind of withdrawal. So it's a huge chemical thing that's going on.
Why aren't more people talking about this?
I don't know, Justin. I really want to know why too.
Because
I was on the phone with Jim Poole, one of the co-founders of NuCalm, which is a cool binaural beat. They did all the science and data to prove that you can access your brain waves through binaural beats, like different audio waves into the brain, right? And this has been around for years, but I think they're one of the first to really pioneer the space from a medical perspective and like pour the time and money into what it takes to really prove it. I should say, not prove it, because they weren't out to prove it. They were out to pressure test it, right? And then it was proven. But we were just talking about why more people don't talk about this. And, it's slow for things to take on. Like we've been in the business space for a while. Like, how long have people been talking about AI? We saw AI come in from miles away.
Yeah.
To the point where 2 years ago, I was having clients tell me, we still need real people, like AI sucks. And I'm like, yo, guys, like, you're saying that now. Tomorrow you're gonna be whistling a different tune. So since circa early 2022, me and my team have been running. Like, we've been in the races of how do we hedge against all the changes AI is gonna make. But I mean, most of us, we get comfortable, right?
Yeah.
We can't be watchdog and police officer and, parent and provider and all the things all at once. It's difficult to stay on top of those things.
Yeah, and now
So
AI, I mean, if people aren't at this point, I think people are pretty aware of it. I think people are still, it won't take my job, it won't do any of these things. But the reality is, like, just go back a couple of decades to the internet. How many people were like, oh, the internet's not going to be a thing? Like, it changed the entire world.
everything,
And AI is doing that at 10x, not only 10x speed, but 10x impact.
probably like 1,000x.
Yeah, 1000x, right? And so
That's
like
crazy.
you just think about the speed in which it's getting better. I mean, I remember like a year ago being like, this isn't the greatest. And now it's like, oh my gosh.
Can't tell.
Like
Like, is this AI?
yeah, like
Yeah.
I saw so Will Smith a number of years ago had AI make him eating spaghetti, and he was like this alien morphed looking person, and then they had him just recently do it again, and it looked real. It looked like
Oh,
he was
wow.
sitting there eating spaghetti like a normal human being, and it's crazy. Now, have you seen, in the space that you're in, are you seeing AI creating more stress for these individuals?
We are actually leveraging it heavily to relieve the stress. So a lot of our installations and frameworks, they deal with like mini tech stacks or processes that we used to have to walk our clients through. And now with the power of AI, it's like one markdown file and they're off to the races. So, we systemize relationships, networks, we systemize, team onboarding and training. We have one of my favorite ones is an external brain called the Clear Execution. This one is great for everybody, but we see like legitimate personality changes with our ADHD folks because
Wow.
ADHD is like so much. But basically, the idea is we take everything in here and remove it from your head so that your head is no longer this memory bank that you're trying to manage and store, and it can be that high powered like computer system that it is to operate on different things, and that memory is stored in an external brain. And so now that we power it with AI and they put the markdown files in and AI is connected to it all, they can just consult with their Claude cowork or whatever medium they choose to access this external brain, which is amazing because let me tell you, it's like my husband will be like, you remember that client you worked with last week? I'm like, no, which one? He'll be like, they had this business and that. I'm like, nope. To just consult with my external brain because the only thing that's open, the only tabs that are open right now is like what's in front of me. I'm able to give it 100% of my full attention and focus, and I'm able to be present in everything that I do because everything from this morning was not stacked on till the end of today. So when I get home and I'm with my family, I'm with my family.
Yeah.
My head is nowhere else, right? So we teach folks how to close loops, how to create, like for most of us, we have, endless open loops, and that your brain is constantly buffering in the subconscious to try to close those loops, but they won't close because we're building an empire, right? So all of this from a scientific level can be managed through systems, and it's a game changer. Like if you are sitting there thinking, I want so much, like to be and to accomplish, and I'm doing everything I can, and I'm doing great. Like I've been doing a good job, but I know that I can show up as more, and I'm not really sure how. Usually it's a system error.
Mm.
And so we need to upgrade your system, right?
Yeah. It's fun. I was just telling you that I was with my mastermind this last weekend, and I did an exercise with them where it was like, if your business 10x'd overnight, and then there were 5 questions that I asked. I don't remember what they were off the top of my head, but there were things like, what would you stop doing? What would you delegate? What would you do? All these things, right? And so it's almost in a sense, not from the medical way of doing it, but from the standpoint of like, hey, prepare yourself now. Why isn't it set up like that now? But when you're running, right, head first, into every wall that you hit as an entrepreneur, it's very hard, like you said, to focus on anything else, right?
Yeah.
And as we get older, I'm now 41. The memory is not as strong because your brain has more information to hold. So I love the idea of the brain dump, which I need to do that with all my podcast episodes. I had a conversation. I was hanging out with my buddy Scott. Sorry, Scott. I was having a conversation with him, and it was a really good conversation. I'm like, dude, we should have this conversation on the podcast, or I should have you on the podcast. And he looks at me, and goes, I was on your podcast. And I was like, "Oh, dude, I'm so sorry. Like I've done 600
Right.
of them. Like I can't remember every single
Yeah.
conversation I have." But
And it'd be
it's
crazy to expect yourself to.
yeah, without a
Yeah.
doubt. And I know now I'm learning Claude. I'm behind in the AI. Like I was still a ChatGPT guy till recently.
Yeah.
And so like I learned that you could like scrape things and dump it into the stuff, and like just learning all this stuff is fascinating. But I love how you do that because it does calm the mind.
Hmm.
Like you're no longer in that flight or fight because you know that the information's there and you don't have to remember. You don't have to, oh, did I write that down? Was that thing there?
Yeah.
What other modalities are you using to help these individuals?
So many. I mean, I'm like, which one do I pull from? One of my other favorite things that we do is we have an algorithm that can calculate your energy output per day. And it will give you an energy limit based on, an assessment. So this is another thing we're AI powering right now, because before you'd have to self-assess and it was a spreadsheet, and then we turned it into an app. And so now we're like, okay, how can we turn this into like a GPT that a person can talk to? But basically you screenshot your schedule, dump it into the algorithm, and then it'll ask you, like, how did this feel? Or, what was this output? Where was stress and friction, et cetera? And you get a daily number. And what we found is that if you can stay within that daily number and meet recovery, that means you're recovering fully every night, you've got excellent quality sleep. We teach you how to do this. We're not just like figure it out, because that's everyone's like
Get
how.
better
We're like,
sleep.
yes, we get you there in like a month or less.
Wow.
So, because we use science and we're not like, okay, deep breathe and meditate. Like, okay, so little off topic. The reason that you're having a hard time sleeping or focusing or re-energizing is because you are literally driving like a race car every day. And if I were to ask you to, like, once you come off your workday, it's 5, leave the office, and now you have to stop, that's impossible. You're going to hit a wall and crash. So what ends up happening is we're trying to slow ourselves down by winding down, but the activities that we're doing are not actually supporting winding down the brain, but it feels really good because we're sitting down on our phone and we're scrolling, because we're finally getting to those text messages that we were ignoring all day, because we're finally watching that TV show, getting caught up, right, on the episodes and all these things. And these are not actually powering the brain down. That's the problem the brain's trying to solve. And so when you do this to your energy where you're capped out at the day and you're not powering the brain down, you're not getting real states of recovery and rest when you sleep, you create this compound deficit that's unsustainable over time. And what we do is we blow past our energy limits. This would be akin to me saying, hey, Justin, I want to go in the gym. I want to get fit and learn how to lift 300 pounds. And then us just being like, okay, well, let's just throw 200, 300, let's just see how much you can lift and just keep throwing more every single day without the recovery or the right posture form to really lift that weight. You're asking for an injury. You're asking for a problem. So the energy limit or the energy number, what we say is once your recovery is locked in, then let's push this number within 5 points of your energy limit. And then we just add one small layer of recovery to support that. What happens? This person's capacity increases. It skyrockets because it's like progressive overload in the gym. It's like, where are you at? What do you lift? Let's start here, get a good baseline, and then let's add a little more weight, right? Are you recovering?
Yeah.
Great. Let's add a little more. So it works the same way cognitively and emotionally, like the stress that we expose ourselves to, as long as we have that recovery. So I love that energy calculator, because we get people that are like, oh my gosh, I have boundaries. I was like, what? We don't even use the word boundaries anywhere. But they're like, I'm like, what's the one thing you got out of here? They're like, besides feeling like amazing, I have boundaries. I have other people that say, I had a client literally this month. He won't stop talking about it. He's like, I quit coffee, I quit sugar, I stopped taking melatonin, all in the same month that everything was burning down. And I feel great. He's like, I could conquer the world. Because when you find the gaps that make your system really solid and you fill those, it stops looking for other crutches and other things. So our goal is not to cut bad habits. Our goal is not to teach you boundaries. Those are a natural consequence of supporting your entire system, brain and body. So
I love it. It's absolutely fascinating. By the way, if you saw my sleep scores, you would fall out of your chair. They are terrible. I think my sleep score last night was 41. So,
oh, good Lord, Justin.
Yeah.
We need to fix that.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm friends with, a massive sleep expert. And she's like red lights at night. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like it's like the extreme, but she's excellent at what she does. And I'm sure she's like a 99 or 100 every single night, and she feels way better than I do most days. And so, it's fascinating. It needs to be my next focus is like, okay, sleep. And I know that it'll change the game across the board. And I love what you're doing. You're literally saving lives, right? Like you talked about these people who are high achievers who take their lives because of that crash. And the way you put it, I mean, it pisses me off that more people aren't talking about this. And it's probably the stigma of, I can't feel bad for a guy who sold his company for 50 million, then took his life. Right. So like, why not? We're just not going to talk about it, but we talk about all the other stuff, the sad ones and all that stuff. It's fascinating. But I want to ask you a question that I ask every single person on this show. It's a 2-part question. The first part is, what's your definition? What is your definition of success? I swear I ask this every interview. The first part of the question is, what's your definition of success? And the second part is, what are 3 things you do every day to ensure that success for yourself?
Oh, I love this question so much. My personal definition of success is if you could leave this world a little bit of a better place because you existed.
Mm.
Three things. I mean, I live this system day in, day out. So it's probably like 100 things. But if I could pick my top three things, it would be one, don't negotiate the system, which isn't every day. Sometimes we have negotiations and that's fine. But there's certain actions that I know I cannot negotiate if I want to wake up 100% the next day. And so I want to be 100%, not just for myself, but for my team, for my clients, for my children, the way I show up in the world. It's like, you know how they say 1% every day? If you just improve 1% every day, where are you going to be 10 years from now? Imagine if you showed up optimal every day. Where are you going to be 1 year from now, 5 years from now? It's a game changer.
Yeah.
So that's one. Number two is being an advocate, being a growth minded advocate, being open to being wrong, open to new possibilities, not fear based. If we operate from love, like what are the things that we can do to really move the needle and what it is that we're passionate about? Or, because we can't save the world, right? Like you pick your one lane and really pour into that. I love that quote that says, never underestimate the power of a small group of people to change the world, because indeed it's all that ever has.
Mm.
And so my mission is to empower that small group of people, which are entrepreneurs, and then hopefully, move into like first responders. I think they're very underserved, and a whole lot of reasons behind why I'd love to empower that group. But the people who help people, I think that's the way I can cause a ripple effect, because I can only do so much. I'm one person. So I don't know. It's all about optimization in my mind. Like, yeah. I love strategy games. I don't know about you. All my tech people love strategy games. So like Catan, Wingspan, like, those sort of things, Civilization. And
Isn't Catan Elon Musk's game?
I don't think so. I could be wrong. I don't think so. It's been around for a while.
No, he didn't make it. He plays it.
Oh, maybe.
I
I don't
think
know.
that, so I read his biography and I think that's the game that like they talk about, like they, because he's a terrible sleeper, but he stays up all night and plays that game.
Plays game.
So
Yeah, I
yeah.
love those games. But and that's what makes it fun, right? Because it's like all of those games are, how do you optimize each move? You have a limited amount of moves and you're trying to get a lot done, and there's a lot to manage and to calculate for. So that's, I don't know. I treat life kind of like that. It's like if we have a problem, how do we solve it? Like those games. So I mean, that's not what I'm promoting, but all your listeners out there, if you want to just change the way your brain is wired in terms of problem solving, try those games out. Catan is awesome.
I've never played it. Now I feel like I have to give it a try.
Okay, well, we'll
But
have to play.
yeah, so I want to take you into the future. I want to fast forward to the end of your life, and hopefully it's a long, long time from now. And I want you to imagine that everything you've created has disappeared. So we're talking about anything you've written, any of your businesses, any podcasts you've been on, all that has disappeared, and you could only be remembered for one sentence. What would you want that sentence to be?
I don't know who that lady was, but when I was present with her, I felt I felt like my real honest self again.
I love that. I love that.
It was hard
So
to find the words to describe that, but
no, it's
it's like
perfect.
a
It was
piece.
perfect. Yeah. So I wrap up every single interview with the same question, but before we get there, how can people work with you? How can they plug into this system so they can optimize their life? What's all the good stuff?
Love it. Yeah, social media. If you want to give the handle, it's Marin Jaden, but if you search MJ Gordon, it'll pop up. Most active on like Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. And then if you want to learn more about the system, my website, mj-gordon.com. There's a link at the top that says the system, and you can read about it, schedule a free audit if you think it's for you, and we can, kind of do a discovery call and yeah, learn all the things.
Awesome. Like I said, I wrap up every single interview with the same question. Since the show is called The Growth Down Movement, that question is, in your life, what has been your biggest moment of growth?
Oh, that's not a fair question, Justin. I think right now, I actually think right now I'm in the middle of my biggest moment of growth. All of this is happening so fast. This was a calling. I answered the calling, and boy, oh boy, what kind of door that opened was, I was unprepared for that. So it's really calling me to step up and show up in ways that I never could have imagined. And I think that is a really great homage to like just start, just do the thing, right? And stop worrying about like all the logistics. I mean, the logistics matter, right? But I think we think too much about perfecting and controlling the outcome instead of just being there with it.
I love it.
So,
MJ, thank you
yeah,
so much
remember
for
why you're
coming.
served.
I love it. So thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your journey with my audience. Thank you, more importantly, for doing the
Same.
work that you're doing because you're changing lives. So thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Thanks for having me here. Love this conversation. Could talk about this all day. So appreciate you, opening that door for us.